Let me be honest with you. When I first saw this story, my jaw dropped a little. Kvaratskhelia, one of the most exciting wingers in Europe right now, possibly heading to Arsenal. That's not a small rumour, that's a proper headline. But the more I thought about it, the more I started asking questions, and I think you should too. So what's actually going on? Let's break this down simply. Arsenal are planning a big reshuffle this summer. They've been watching their left-wing situation for a while now, and they're not fully happy with what they've got. Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli have been doing the job, but Arsenal want more. They want someone with that extra bit of magic, someone who can create something out of nothing. And apparently, they believe Kvaratskhelia is that guy. According to Miguel Delaney of The Independent, Arsenal are genuinely looking into a deal for the PSG winger, not just casually watching him, actually investigating a move. That's a big difference. Now here's where it gets interesting. His camp, the people around him, his agents, are said to be open to the idea of him moving to Arsenal. And in the transfer world, when agents start talking, things can move fast. Fabrizio Romano, who as we all know doesn't just throw names around for fun, has also been tracking Arsenal's left-wing search closely. Romano has confirmed Arsenal's interest in multiple wide players this summer, and that the club are serious about strengthening that area. When Romano starts mentioning a player in connection with a club, you pay attention. So yes, this is real. This isn't just a clickbait headline. Why does Arsenal want him specifically? Good question. Let's think about this properly. Kvaratskhelia is the kind of player who makes defenders look silly. He doesn't just run fast, he thinks fast. He dribbles, he cuts inside, he scores, he assists. He's unpredictable in the best possible way. And Arsenal right now, they lack exactly that. Look at their attack this season. Bukayo Saka, one of the best young players in the world, has been struggling with his form and even got injured. Martin Odegaard, their captain and supposed creative heart, has barely been himself. Eberechi Eze came in with so much excitement, and while he's contributed, the feeling is that we haven't seen the best of him yet. Arsenal's attack has been solid but not spectacular. They win games, they grind results. But that wow moment, that one piece of individual brilliance that makes you jump off your sofa, it's been missing. Kvaratskhelia brings that. We literally just saw him score 3 goals against Chelsea in the Champions League round of 16. Chelsea, by the way, are not a bad team, and he made them look like amateurs. 3 goals, just like that. That's what Arsenal want. That spark, that danger. But wait, can they actually afford this? Here's where it gets a bit complicated, and this part is really important, so stay with me. Arsenal can't just go out and spend whatever they want. There's a new Premier League financial rule called the squad cost ratio. Basically, it means clubs can only spend up to 85% of their income on player wages, agent fees, and transfer costs combined. Arsenal are already operating close to that limit. So if they want to bring in someone like Kvaratskhelia, who won't come cheap, they first need to sell. Who goes? Well, Martinelli has been mentioned. There's apparently interest from Saudi Arabia for him. And honestly, if the right offer comes in, Arsenal might let him go. That would hurt a bit because Martinelli is still young and has a lot to offer. But football is a business, and sometimes you have to make hard decisions. Beyond Martinelli, there could be other sales too. Arsenal have a big squad and some players who haven't played much. Moving those players on brings in money and frees up space on the wage bill. The financial side of this deal is genuinely tricky, but it's not impossible, especially if Arsenal go deep in the Champions League, which brings in serious money. And with them top of the Premier League, their commercial income is also growing. So the money side, difficult but doable. I wouldn't rule it out. What does PSG say about all this? This is the part that makes me a bit skeptical. Kvaratskhelia only joined PSG in January 2025. He left Napoli for Paris, and at the time he said he wanted to build something special there. He talked about wanting to become a PSG legend. Those aren't the words of a man who's already thinking about his next move. And from PSG's side, sources inside the club are saying he's basically untouchable. One of those players you just don't sell. Not because of money, but because of what he means to the team and the project. So on one side, you've got agents saying, yeah, we're open to Arsenal. On the other side, you've got PSG saying he's not for sale. And in the middle, you've got Kvaratskhelia himself, who said he wants to stay and be great at PSG. This is why the deal has been called extremely complicated. And honestly, complicated in football language usually means it probably won't happen, at least not easily. But then again, stranger things have happened in football. We've seen unsellable players leave before. Money talks, ambition talks, and if Kvaratskhelia himself gets it in his head that he wants a new challenge, things can change quickly. Now let's talk about the real question. Should he even go? Okay, this is the part I actually want to talk about most, because this isn't just about whether Arsenal can sign him, it's about whether it would actually be good for him. And I'm genuinely torn. On one hand, Arsenal are top of the Premier League, 9 points clear with 7 games left. They're probably winning the title this season. They're in the Champions League. The club is growing, the stadium is full every week, and the project feels exciting. That's not nothing. That's actually a lot. But here's my concern. Look at what's happened to some of Arsenal's most creative players this season. Saka, before his injury, wasn't playing with the same joy we saw in him a couple of seasons ago. Odegaard is a brilliant player, but this season he's looked restricted, like he's playing within a very tight system and not being allowed to just express himself. And Eze, remember how fun he was at Crystal Palace? Always trying things, always creating chaos in a good way. At Arsenal, that edge feels a little dulled. Now, I'm not saying Arteta is a bad manager. He's clearly not. The league table doesn't lie. But there is a real conversation to be had about whether his system, which is very organised and very structured, is the right environment for a free-spirited player like Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia thrives when he has freedom, when he can improvise, when he can take a man on just because he feels like it. That's what makes him brilliant. If he goes to Arsenal and Arteta asks him to track back, follow a shape and only attack in certain moments, does that dull his brilliance? Possibly, and that would be a waste. A genuine waste. Other players, Arsenal, are looking at. Let's also be fair here. Kvaratskhelia isn't the only name on Arsenal's list. Rodrigo from Real Madrid has been mentioned. An absolutely world-class player when he's given the chance to shine. But Real Madrid letting him go? That's another complicated situation. Nico Williams from Athletic Club had a brilliant Euros last summer with Spain, and his name came up for Arsenal too. Young, fast, direct. He fits the profile of what Arsenal want. And then there's Jan Diomande from RB Leipzig, a different kind of player, more of a dribbling specialist who's been turning heads in the Bundesliga. He's apparently on Arsenal's radar as well. So there are options. Kvaratskhelia would obviously be the glamour signing, the one that gets everyone excited. But if that deal is too complicated, Arsenal have other paths. The point is, they're serious about fixing that left side. Whoever comes in will have big expectations. Fan reaction, what are people saying? I've been reading what people are saying online, and it's a mixed bag, as always with transfer news. Arsenal fans are excited, obviously. Kvaratskhelia is a genuinely elite player, and the idea of him in red and white is a nice image. Some are already dreaming about him linking up with Saka on opposite wings and the damage that could do. But a lot of fans are also asking the same question I've been asking. Will Arteta let him play freely? Will he trust him to just be himself? Or will he try to fit him into a shape and lose what makes him special? PSG fans, on the other hand, are not impressed by this rumour at all. They literally just got this man from Napoli. They're not trying to hear about him leaving. And honestly, fair enough. And neutrals, most people just want to see good football. And Kvaratskhelia playing in the Premier League would give us exactly that. My honest take, look, I think Arsenal will sign a left winger this summer. That feels almost certain. The question is just who. If it's Kvaratskhelia, that would be genuinely stunning. A marquee signing that sends a message to everyone. Arsenal mean business, and they're not done growing. But I'm not fully convinced it happens. PSG don't want to sell, the player said he wants to stay, and the finances need serious work before it even becomes possible. What I do believe is that Arsenal will spend this summer. They have to. Because as impressive as winning the league would be, they know they need more creativity to compete at the very highest level in Europe. Whether it's Kvaratskhelia or someone else, something is coming, and that much is exciting. Let me ask you a few things. What do you think? Would Kvaratskhelia actually be a good fit for Arteta's system, or would it just limit him? If you were him, would you leave PSG for Arsenal right now? Or would you stay in Paris and build your legacy there? And honestly, do you think Arsenal's attack has been as creative as it should be this season? Or are they just winning ugly and everyone's fine with that? Drop your thoughts. I want to know what you're thinking. To wrap it up, this Kvaratskhelia to Arsenal story is one of those transfers that sounds incredible on paper, but comes with a lot of question marks. The player is elite. Arsenal clearly need that creativity boost, and the interest seems genuine, but PSG won't let him go easily. The finances are complicated, and there's a real philosophical question about whether Arteta's system is the right home for a player who's at his best when he's free. Whatever happens, this summer is shaping up to be a very interesting one for Arsenal. Big decisions are coming, big money will be spent, and the club that finishes this season as Premier League champions, if they do, will look to build on that momentum. One thing's for sure, if Kvaratskhelia does end up at the Emirates, it will be one of the transfers of the summer, maybe one of the transfers of the decade.